Hello everyone. Today we are going to cover some incredibly important updates to the 3-card blind format and the main event tournament. As many of you all know, all of the matches that support the main event are calculated by hand by our volunteer group, the Game Gurus. Every month we run the tournament, there is so much labor needed to support the main event that even with many folks volunteering their time, it still takes several days for us to report results. A question that I get asked pretty regularly is why don't you just use AI to solve the matches for you and remove that massive labor component? This of course hasn't been possible in the past because there hasn't been sufficient data to feed a machine learning model to teach it how to solve matches for us. However, as of recently, we do have enough data to train an AI to solve the matches. As a matter of fact, the AI we've trained has become so sophisticated that it can actually predict which decks players will use before they even submit them. This means we have finally created the perfect format, one that has no need for human input whatsoever and can be independently operated by AI. A byproduct of this is we're ready to share the results for this month's main event without any need for you to submit a deck yourself. This month we had exactly 69 participants, and none of them were new players because those players weren't in the training data. Among the 69 participants this month, there were 21 unique decks. If we weigh the cards in these decks by their performance and run them through the Family Guy Diversity Index, you will see that this month's diversity score was absolutely poo-poo doo-doo. The 3-card blind diversity grade for this month was an F. Now, although the meta diversity this month was lower than it's ever been, we did get to see some incredibly interesting new strategies used this month. Cards like Ravenous Brutehead, Chronotog Avatar, and Relinquished made a significant impact on the meta. Unsurprisingly, however, because this installment of the main event was AI-powered, most players ended up on the mathematically optimized strategy, and as a result, the most popular card this month was Memnite. This card was as popular as it was because it was being used in the powerhouse strategy of Triple Memnite. This extremely oppressive strategy was popularized by the player Memnite, and because of how successful this strategy has been in the past, it's not surprising to see many more players adopt this strategy, with this month reaching its peak at 71.01% popularity. Memnite the player has been playing the Triple Memnite deck consistently since January of 2024, so as you can imagine, they have completely mastered the play patterns of this highly nuanced strategy. It won't surprise anyone that Memnite the player came in first place in our Transcendent pod, but many of you may be wondering how was this possible? After all, in this meta, Memnite the player had to outperform countless imitators who adopted the Triple Memnite strategy that they initially pioneered. So the question then becomes, is it possible to brew up a deck that can outperform the mathematically perfect Triple Memnite strategy? The deck in question is Mox Emerald, Mox Sapphire, and Research and Development. This deck lacks the explosiveness of the classic Triple Memnite strategy, but by using the card Research, Memnite the player is able to take 4 Memnites from outside of the game and shuffle them into their library. Memnite the player cracked the code and broke the meta wide open with this brand new strategy. As a result, the brand new champion is me. I mean Memnite, who has claimed the champion title with an unprecedented 3,709 ELO rating. And with that, we can move on to discussing this month's ban vote. But because the format is now run by AI, instead of having you vote, we will be using retention-based data analytics to determine which cards should be added to the ban list. Interestingly, the most significant relationship between cards and retention and engagement has been when players screw up and accidentally submit the wrong card and completely ruin their own game plan. Unironically, the number of people who have submitted Mox Diamond or Mox Opal instead of Mox Pearl is too goddamn high. The amount of psychic damage dealt to these players when they open up the results and see that they haven't won a single match because they submitted the wrong Mox is so devastating that often those players never return to the event ever again. This makes 3-card blind the first and only format to protect players from from making mistakes that make them so salty that they quit the game. We are also moving both Last Ride and Death's Shadows to the permanently banned list. When I booted up the AI model for the first time, it became immediately obvious that we will need to wait until the next generation of computer chips before we can hand off Death's Shadow math calculations to AI. And the final update to the ban list is that Stormcrow is coming off of the permanently banned list and will be legal in the format again. Now, I know many of you are probably very nervous about this change, but rest assured, to make sure that the meta doesn't completely collapse into anarchy, we will be moving Chimney Imp onto the permanently banned list to prevent players from running Chimney Imp and Stormcrow in the same deck. Now, many of you may be wondering, what about the democratic process? Shouldn't we be allowed to vote on this? Well, there is one thing you can do if you're not happy about the results of these ban list changes. You can go ahead and cry about it. And that completely wraps up the results for this month's main event tournament. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you soon.